Wonderful. Yay. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the May 2020 First Friday Facebook Live on the Ask a Bookkeeper show. Our mission on Ask a Bookkeeper is to take the big, intimidating ideas that often scare small businesses away from following their dreams, and we simplify them and turn them into just another fun part of running a small business. We're kind of like Sesame Street for small business owners. You can find us on YouTube and in our Facebook group, where you can catch past episodes and participate in ongoing discussions to help your business succeed. So pretty please subscribe to us on YouTube and be sure to tell your friends how awesome this is. I'm your host, Ingrid Edstrom, the Priestess of Profits, and I'm here with my co-host, Penny the Practical Professional.
Hi, everyone. So great to be here.
And I
hope
am
you're
so
all enjoying
excited.
time.
So excited to introduce you to our special guest today. We have the renowned breakthrough strategist, author, and speaker, Simon T. Bailey. And we're going to talk with Simon about his current project, Spark Hope Now. So welcome to Ask a Bookkeeper, Simon. And perhaps we could begin by having you tell us a bit more about yourself and your work.
Well, hello, everyone. I live in Orlando, Florida, and I am the father of two amazing children. My son is 21, my daughter's 18, and the whole base of my work is how do we help people find that spark? And when they find that spark, they find their joy. And when they find their joy, they find their freedom. And they literally begin to live from the inside out. So that is really the impetus of Spark Hope Now. How do we help people really break the cycle of fear and worry and create their future?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And so what are some of the things that you do to accomplish that goal?
Well, one of the things that we are encouraging small business owners to really think about is the most important economy that you protect is the one between your ears. So how do you limit your media intake? How do you ensure you are filling your cup with things that inspire you and uplift you? And then instead of like retracting and not spending, investing in things that will make you profitable long term. So your education, making sure your team members that they're upgrading their skill set, and asking your customers what's their key pain point, and how do you not just cut your way to success by cutting expenses, but how do you begin to examine your expenses through a fresh lens and seeing what allows that business owner to thrive during uncertainty? Because tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Ooh, I like that.
Very nice. So yeah, having more intentionality in our money choices. It's kind of like almost Marie Kondoing our expenses. Does this thing that you're buying make you happy?
Nice. Nice.
So Simon, you and I first encountered each other this past summer at the Scaling New Heights conference, where you were kind of our big main stage speaker and I was teaching a breakout session, and you came to the session that Penny and I taught about doing educational videos, and you were like, oh my gosh, a puppet show at an accounting conference, this is great. And I had no idea that you were the main stage speaker. We got to your main stage session late because we had to pack up from the class that we just taught. And we walk in there and you're talking about this breakout that you just went to with the puppet.
Nice.
That was great.
So yeah, that was a ton of fun, as all of a sudden I was like called out in front of 1,500 accounting professionals because of the puppets. Woohoo!
And it was dark. It was dark in the audience, so nobody could see Ingrid and me blush.
Yeah, it's really funny when Penny blushes. I don't know how to look that.
And isn't it amazing that I was sharing that right on cue when you walked into the room,
right?
As if we planned it, right?
Right, exactly. So your keynote that you gave at Scaling New Heights was about Spark. Yes. And so I would love it if, for just some background, before we get into your current project, if you could tell our audience a little bit about Spark and what that means.
Yeah, so just a little bit more about my background to connect that dot and talk about Spark. I have 30 years of experience in the hospitality industry, and my last job was with Disney. And that's right, Penny, Disney. And
this is your first interview with a puppet? How did that happen?
I mean, I could say, hello, boys and girls, welcome to Disney. But anyway, Penny. I said to our instructional designer on our team, we've worked with almost 1,800 organizations in 49 countries. What is it that we know about these different businesses, small, medium, large? And what we discovered, the reason customers came back time and time again is because there was a man or woman in the organization, in that business, who found a way to be the spark. That person who went the extra inch. In the 20th century, it was about going the extra mile. In the 21st century, it's about going the extra inch. Looking for ways to exceed expectations, not because you have to, but because you want to. And that's the person that is a spark, and why customers become the unofficial marketing department for that business owner. So that's what we discovered. Yeah, so we really begin to go into the whole research and realize Spark stands for how do you see them as guests. So every customer or client that you deal with, seeing them through the lens of a guest, critically important. How do you personalize the experience is the P. How do you anticipate their needs, understanding perhaps the industry or business or vertical that they're in, and then aligning what you do to keep them on the cutting edge. And then the R is how do you respond immediately? And the K is how do you keep them loyal with acts of kindness?
Wow. So C, participate. What was the A?
So C, personalize.
C, yeah, personalize.
Anticipate.
Anticipate.
Respond.
Respond.
And keep loyal with kindness.
Kindness. Oh, that's so beautiful. Wow.
Yay.
What a great program. And so how do you get this out to people?
So one of the things we teach is we share through storytelling, but we also put research in the book to really back up what we share, and then give specific how-tos as to how business owners and professionals can implement the Spark methodology in their business. So everyone can be a Spark.
Nice. So the idea is for business owners and their employees to read this, or is it strategies for the business owners, or
It's
what's the
all
target?
of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a spark.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. And Spark is what creates the loyalty because it becomes a part of the culture in the business. It's not just the one-off or flavor of the month, but it's that thing that you live every single day. So by how you answer the phone, how you respond via email, how you respond via text, when you're talking to them via FaceTime, Zoom, or Skype, everything speaks. And when you understand how to be the spark, you move from transactions to a relationship. And relationship is I relate to the cargo in your ship. So wherever you are going on the ocean of life, because I am the spark for you, you carry me with you because I relate to the cargo in your ship relationship.
Nice. Oh, I like that.
Nice.
Well, and we talk a lot about stories and culture on this podcast or on this series, and I love how you're talking about, like, if people are behind the story, then they'll stick around and they'll really be able to give their all. But it's not the sort of thing that you can just convince somebody to be a part of that story. And so by setting up the culture in that way, I just love that. You know, like, this is how we're doing things, and if you love it, then stay.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And every single day that you interact with your customer is telling a story about what's most important to you. So
Right.
in addition to the story you tell, it's all this also the story that they identify while they're interacting with you in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So to bring that into today a little bit, I guess just to give a little context for people who are watching this on YouTube years from now, right now it is May 1st, 2020. So we have been under shelter in place, stay at home lockdown for a little over a month at this point, which must be really interesting for you, Simon, given that you're used to traveling all over the world doing conferences and speaking and you know, corporate trainings and those kinds of things. And yeah, so being at home for an extended period.
Sure.
So I would love to hear how you are applying Spark in your current project in today's world with what's going on right now.
Well, one of the things we realize, being quarantined and sheltering in place for almost 45 days now, is we had to shift from the way we had always been doing business to a fresh new way of business, and that would be virtual webinars. So, one of the things that we decided to do to really change the narrative of negative news that was just prevailing throughout the land was, how do we spark hope now? And we literally, I came up with the idea 45 days ago. We were able to find the domain name Spark Hope Now and register that and pull together 12 thought leaders who had a specific emphasis on how we can help businesses, individuals who have been tremendously impacted understand it's not so much what happens to you, but it's how you respond.
Mhm.
Because a crisis doesn't come to break you, it comes to reveal who you are at the core.
Right. Oh, that is great. Like seeing the opportunity in every challenge.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because what we discovered, if you look back at the last 100 years of history, whenever there's been a major pandemic or something that just came out of nowhere, people made money in the dip. People made money in when things were down and they rode the wave all the way back up. So
Mhm.
it's really helping people understand the mindset, the skill set, and the will set in the midst of change to embrace it and get through it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it's something that actually our guest last month was saying. He was saying, don't waste a good crisis. Crisis is fertile ground for change. And
Yes,
that's one of the
yes.
big
Indeed.
things that we are seeing a lot right now is how many people are using this as an opportunity to reevaluate
Mhm.
in a positive lens. Do I want to keep on keeping on and fight harder to do the things that I have been doing? Or do I
Absolutely.
need to take this as an opportunity to do things differently and maybe even completely change what I'm doing?
I certainly have had that conversation internally, just with myself, just evaluating everything, and really have come down to this conclusion. What are the things that I want to put in park? Don't want to do those things. Don't fill my cup. Don't bring me joy. Don't feed my soul. What are those things I want to start doing? And why do I want to start those things? But then, what are those things that I want to accelerate? Because coming through this time, we're not going back to normal. This is the new normal. So, how do I now
Right.
adapt my beliefs and behaviors to maximize this moment?
Yeah. So clearly, Spark Hope Now
Yeah.
is one of those things that you're starting.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So, what do you
Absolutely.
see? First, I guess, so who is the audience of Spark Hope Now? What sorts of things are you working on with this program? And where do you see Spark Hope Now going? What's its trajectory?
Yeah. So we started very simply reaching out to individuals who had been furloughed, laid off, business turned upside down, some waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now you have mothers who worked outside the home, now home, kids are home, spouse or partners home. So how do we help them find hope in the midst of what we might call fear or worry? And so we decided to do a 45-minute virtual summit, 3 speakers each day, having just 8 minutes apiece, because if you can't say it in 8 minutes, it can't be said. And we wanted to equip people with tips, tools, and techniques on how they could find hope in the midst of change. So we've already got a request to create Spark Hope Now Latin America, and we're going to take it there. We're going to do Spark Hope Africa. We're going to do Spark Hope Now for youth, because many young people were not able to graduate, or at least have a traditional graduation where they walked across the stage. So we're going to do a virtual graduation with a commencement address just for youth 14 to 21. We're also going to do Spark Hope Now Father's Day, and eventually we'll do Spark Hope Now Asia and Canada. So I'm really excited because people are just coming out of the woodworks. And of course, we have Spark Hope Now Mother's Day coming up, and we already have people lined up, and they are excited
Oh,
about it. And so that is our service to humanity, to lift everyone up.
very cool. So is this going to be a program that you adapt for each location or each specific use or
Yes,
yeah?
yes, yes. So for each vertical or each area that we go into, we will find subject matter experts to come and to be our thought leaders for that day, just to share how can people have hope in the midst of despair, because hope is
Sure.
universal. Everybody needs hope every day.
Wonderful.
Indeed. Oh, so what does the program look like? Is it something that you give them, like the book, the packet, the resources, and leave them,
Yeah.
or is there ongoing? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So it's a virtual summit webinar that we do for 45 minutes that will happen once or twice a month. And then the follow up is each of the speakers share any of the books that they've written, online programs that they have available, and they can go and seek out those thought leaders to go deeper with them or bring them into their organization in a virtual manner. And so we have found that to be really effective. And so we're just going to keep building. We're thinking about creating an app that will create sustainability for people to stay connected to the Spark Hope Now movement, because we realize hope is not just something that you need for a day, it's something you need for a lifetime. So we want to
Oh
come
yeah.
alongside and be the Spark Hope Now whisperer to encourage them that when you have those moments and you want to give up on your business and not keep going forward, you just need somebody to spark hope now that gives you that little nudge or push towards your destiny.
Yeah.
Very nice. It's like the teach a man to fish thing, except instead of just giving people hope, you're teaching them how to find the hope in themselves and to instill it in
Exactly.
others.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's
That's
great.
absolutely it, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
So
wonderful.
oftentimes I hear, business virtual summit and, all of these thought leaders and speakers, and there's like a gigantic price tag on an opportunity like that. But Spark Hope Now is free, isn't it?
Free registration, and the experience is priceless. And we did that intentionally because you go to a lot of virtual summits, and nothing against those who do that, but you're there for 8 hours and they hijack you to the computer and it's the bait and switch. They're offering you something or you pay it. And I just said, no, people are done. They're tired. They
Yep.
just want, you know what? Can I just breathe and get something that helps me feel better? And we keep it short to 45 minutes. So if people don't like our format, sorry, we're not the virtual summit for you. We just want it tight and respectful.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you
Nice.
said 7 minutes, 8 minutes each.
8 minutes, eight
It's
minutes
like
each. That's
half
it.
a TED Talk.
That's it. That's it. We're
Right.
disrupting. We're disrupting TED. We're disrupting TED. Like 8 minutes. Can you say it? Like if you can't say it in 8 minutes, And all of the speakers, one of the things that you will notice is when they're introduced, they hit the ground running. Because
Yeah.
like a good James Bond movie, the action starts. They don't say, well, I'm happy to be here. No, you've already lost 10 seconds right there. Get to the point. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm totally going to register for Spark Hope Now. I'm so
yeah, you'll love it.
stoked.
You'll absolutely love it.
That
Well, and
sounds
I figure it's a
amazing.
great way, it's almost like a buffet. You get the sampler platter of all these
Yes,
amazing thought leaders. And then if
totally.
you're like, okay, I really liked the way that tasted, I want
Yeah,
to feel, then you go buy their book. Right?
right. If it's being in service. So all of the speakers that I've curated and have brought together, I'm giving them my platform to get connected with people around the world. So we had people from Australia, Africa, Tokyo. I mean, like people from everywhere. And we were like, what? Because they were just hungry. And what we do is we hug people with our words and we invite them to create their future.
Nice.
Oh,
Love it, love it,
that's
love it.
beautiful. I like that. And
Yay.
how large is your organization? How many people do you have working on this?
Yes, so we have a
Roughly.
small team of 5 that are working
Okay.
with us, and all who said, let's go, they stepped up in a matter of seconds and said, absolutely, I'm all in. And now we've had other people show up. And what really makes Spark Hope Now really sizzle is the chat. So the speakers are sharing, but it's this robust conversation that's happening in the chat. And people are just loving it because they're connecting with other people around the world. And we end it, at about the 43-minute mark, because we believe if we give people back the gift of time, they respect that and they'll come back again. And we say, hey, you're welcome to stay over and just hang out. And we'll have almost 100 people hanging out afterward, just in the virtual room, just like,
That's
hey,
great.
what's going on? We're like, what? So
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The after party ends up being like more influential or longer lasting than the party
Yeah,
itself.
because it's not as
That's funny.
formal and people ask
Yeah.
questions and it's all via, obviously virtual Zoom and it's so cool. It's so cool. Love
Yeah.
it. Gotta love
Well,
it.
and you said you had like 1,000 people register for the
We
first
had
one. That's mind blowing.
1,104 people register like that, like
Woo!
literally, and we only marketed it 5 days out. So we did kind of like the whole fear of missing out, but we marketed it very close in,
Mhm.
and people loved that because it was top of mind. And
Yeah.
obviously, they get a reminder day of, hey, this is starting, and it's just really cool technology. And the thing about it, virtual has always been there, but crisis has kind of forced us to
Yeah.
now be
Right.
intentional about how we connect.
Yeah. So is
Wow.
there a cap on the number of participants that can be in your platform?
We can hold up to about 1,000. There are about 1,000 seats virtually,
Okay, great.
which is a great problem to have. But when you do it over multi days, you reach more people, and you'll have different
Yeah.
people cycling in. But when we did it over 4 days, we had people that came for all 4 days
Yeah.
because they just kept getting more. And they're like, heck, it's only 45 minutes. I'm going to carve out the time
Yeah.
and
Oh,
experience it.
that's easy.
So, yeah.
So, and
Oh, super
are
cool.
the for the people who can't make it to the live event, are the videos available for replay?
We have the videos up on YouTube, and each of the videos have been edited down to each of the speakers. So if they just want that 8 minutes of one of the speakers they enjoyed, they can go and listen to that. The entire event is available in its entirety, and we'll keep that up for about 30 days because we know some people have their entire companies going and watching it because they just loved it. But we'll take that down eventually because we're going to repackage that and make that a different offering. But the individual speakers will always be available.
That's fantastic. Yay.
So I'm curious from a business perspective, obviously we know that inspiring somebody is the best way to get their attention, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Then how do you monetize it afterwards? I mean, you have the book, so people will
mm-hmm,
be drawn to that.
mm-hmm.
What else?
We're thinking through that right now. As you can imagine, we just started just a few weeks ago. So we're trying to understand, instead of going to market and monetizing it immediately, we're asking them for what do they need? What are they looking for? What are their pain points? So we are using them as an unofficial focus group in the moment. Just like, tell us, what are you struggling with? Because it's better to really kind of know their needs and not just assume, okay, we're going to sell X, right? And so that's what we're doing.
Oh, I love that. You're like, oh, I want to give people this great inspiring thing, and then we'll figure out how to make it work later.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you build the plane on the way up,
Yep, exactly right. Well, and
how
pretty
inspiring.
much every entrepreneur is used to building the plane as we fly it from super glue and duct tape.
Yeah, I mean, this was totally
Wondering
ready,
how on
fire,
earth am I
aim.
still in the air?
It was ready, fire, aim, boom. Oh, okay, that's where we're going.
Right.
Nice.
Yay.
So beforehand, we were talking a bit about this Spark Hope Now, and you were talking about focusing specifically on mothers as a current project. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit more about that?
Well, we know that mothers, many are, I won't say burnt out, but close to it, because all of a sudden their normal routine has been disrupted. So we
Right.
wanted to carve out time for them to be poured back into mothers, grandmothers, bonus moms, to let them know that they matter and they have value. So we've curated 6 speakers who are going to share with them 8 minutes apiece over 2 days, how they are not only awesome mothers and truly the Wonder Woman that they really are, but they are celebrated by all of those around them.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's such an amazing gift to offer the world for Mother's Day. Thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, where would we be without mothers, right? I mean, no matter what the situation is, we have some people say, I don't talk to my mom. I was adopted, but you would have never gotten here if it wasn't for a mother.
Yep. We all have a mom, right?
We all have a mom.
Yep.
Even puppets have moms. Now, noodle through that one.
So we've got about 5 minutes before the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that our audience knows where to find all these amazing resources that we're talking about. So there's sparkhopenow.com.
Correct.
Any other resources that we need to direct them to so that we can make sure that they're able to find these fantastic summits and your YouTube and all of the goods. Give us the goods.
Yeah, they can go to Simon T. Bailey, T like terrific, Bailey, BAILEY.com. Glad you caught that, Penny. That was a quick one. And .com. And then you can follow me on social media, Simon T. Bailey. And we also have the hashtag SparkHopeNow. So if you ever want to see just what's up with Spark Hope, just use the hashtag.
Beautiful. And if there were one main thing that we wanted to leave our audience with, particularly right now amidst shelter in place and the upheaval going on in the economy and those sorts of things, if there were one juicy tidbit that you could give to our audience, what would that be?
There will never be a perfect time to go for it. And just a quick little backstory. So sheltering in place for 45 days. I'm a big beach person. Our beaches are closed. I got up last Sunday, drove 2 hours just to see the beach and the sand, even though it was closed, but I got up off my sofa of excuses and made the drive. Everyone listening to us, you can do the same. Either you're going to stay on the sofa or you're going to use this as an opportunity to go for it. There'll never be a perfect time to be the person you might have been.
Exactly right. Well, and figuring out for each of us,
especially now,
what are those excuses? I've been talking to a lot of members in the accounting profession right now who are working harder than ever, and they're approaching burnout in amongst all of this. And sometimes the excuse that we make is the excuse not to stop and take a break on the sofa when that's what we need to do.
Exactly.
And it's like,
totally
figuring out what are the excuses, and sometimes taking that moment of like, this is an opportunity for me to sleep. Oh my gosh, I have a body that needs rest.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
indeed.
So whatever your experience is, one of the things I often like to say is, should is a dirty 6-letter word. Let's remove it from our vocabulary.
That's right.
If you're saying that you should be working right now, what do you want to be doing? If you want to be going to the beach, yes, get the excuses out of the way, find a way to make it happen. If you want to sit on your couch and read a book, maybe go and watch an amazing summit with some thought leaders and get one of their books, There's a lot of great opportunities right now. And this is a great opportunity to figure out, what have we been missing? And what could we be changing in our lives to make all of this more effective, to make ourselves better human beings, and show up to this game in greater capacity. So I love that. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Get off the sofa of excuses, even if what your sofa of excuses is staying off the sofa.
Yay.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Simon, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I am really excited to check out Spark Hope Now. And I hope that we get to see you again at a conference at some point in the future. We might be wearing masks. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, fortunately, we've got these fantastic virtual platforms. So
awesome. Will Penny have a mask? Will Penny be wearing a mask as well?
Oh, I'll definitely have a mask.
You'll have a mask. Okay.
So I may be immune, but solidarity is important.
Yeah, so that's the thing the scientists haven't realized yet, is that the antidote to this and every other virus out there is puppet DNA. If we could inoculate ourselves,
boom, there it is.
Become home and felt, then we would no longer be susceptible.
Problem solved.
Exactly. Wow.
All right. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much to all of our audience members who are watching in the background on Zoom and on Facebook, and to everyone watching the replay on YouTube or on Facebook later. And please continue this conversation in our Facebook group, which is Ask a Bookkeeper. And we will catch you next time.
Yay! Thank you so much for joining us, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to be with you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.